football was the colour in my world. Up There Gazali was the song track of my life. On weekend comes the time you can do whatever turns you on, go out and clear your mind. Me, I like football. I go to the Richmond station. I've got my beanie, and as the door shuts, this Carlton bloke reaches in and he grabs my beanie off my head, throws it under the train.
Oh.
I was just shattered, and as the train pulled out, all I could see was half a dozen black and white hooped arms belting the shit out of this bloke. And I just went, these are my people.
Your people. Before we get to you starting in the media, what's your first memories of going to the footy?
So my dad went to the footy the first time, and he thought he was going to the soccer. And
He went to the wrong joint.
He said, "Geez, it's good they've got the flagpoles. Where are the goals?" And he said he laughed. He said they kept running out. He said, "Well, was there 2 games on here?" And so here's an
He kept running out.
So the down at Essendon, which was the easiest one to get to on the Broadie train. We lived in North Melbourne zone. Over the back fence was Carlton, Bruce Dool, Curly Austin.
Okay.
Mark Dawson lived across the street, who was north. Robbie Walls used to go out with the girl up the street. I used to go up as a 5-year-old, wait for him to pull up in his car.
Did you?
Yeah, so Mark Dawson there, Robert Walls there, and Bruce Dool, Curly Austin, all these guys around the place. So you remembered in Broadie. The great thing about Broadie was 1 in all in Broadmeadows. It was absolutely that. So everybody was proud of everyone. You knew anyone who'd won a scholarship or got a job or did something or won the grade 6 sports. Everyone knew, and it was a real sense of community there. Not us against them necessarily, although when we played, it was very much that. But we were a tight knit group, and so Dad was in Essendon. My brother, who I loved, who I just carried his bags everywhere. Frank. So, but at 5 years of age, I just decided I'd barrack for Collingwood. I fell in love with Peter McKenna. And one day, this sounds apocryphal, but it's absolutely gospel. I walked down the street and Frank was into me. Come on, get back and all the rest of it. And we'll go to the footy together and all this sort of stuff. And it was a passing phase, he thought. And he did he tricked me on.
She's been a long phase.
Yeah, it is, yeah. Well, I was the black and white sheep and the families at dinner. And they used to have Jiffy donut bags. And on the Jiffy donut bag had the club songs this particular year, 1970. Right? And the Pies were going all right in 1970, Essendon weren't, so that probably helped a bit as well. And there was a screwed up Jiffy donut bag on the ground. Now I'm 5, right? And I'm walking along and go, all right, if this has got the Collingwood theme song, that's it. I'm convinced, because I wanted to play barrack for the Pies. Frank was into me. Anyway, I opened up and it's good old Collingwood for everyone. That's it. Anyway,
wow.
A week later,
good story.
Frank comes around the corner from school, and I'm standing at the front gate in a Collingwood jumper with number 6 on the back. And that was it.
So as a kid, what are your memories? So you're going to Victoria Park?
Well, one of the first things, I was actually on 3 levels of cans. My dad used to bring a lump of wood to put on it so the cans wouldn't cut my shoes, right, and hurt my feet, at Windy Hill for the Windy Hill Brawl.
Okay.
And what happened is I was in the standing room in the old Crichton stand, and they'd all run down to the Royal Hotel where the beers were cheap in the 20 minutes of. So they're all taking off. At half time. And get the pass outs and away they go. And as they're all going, my first ever call, it's on!
Right.
And they've all run back.
Yeah.
And I go, no, what's going on? And I could see the other side and the police horse, and I could see Mel Brown, but on the other side. And of course, you go back, and it's on the news that night, and it was a big story on World of Sport the next day, but it's shot from the other side of the ground. So I have the memories of the TV, but I have my memory of looking across on the sort of from one half-forward flank to the other half-forward flank of it all happening and people going everywhere, and Johnny Casson, and Big Grinter, who was a copper, grabbing Steve Parsons, and it was just unbelievable. Graham Richmond in amongst it. All these names. See, they were the superheroes.
Yeah, famous names.
But they were the superheroes. We had a black and white TV. And, that was it, basically. You watched English comedy. Might get some soccer magazines from Scotland that were sent over, or the Scottish newspapers a month late. And you had Lou Richards and World of Sport and Mike Williamson, who I loved. And I fell in love with him and Shirley Hardy. Mary Hardy. Surely I worked with her, Mary's niece at Channel 10, but Mary Hardy and Bill Collins, who would call the racing, call the football, and then do a Tonight Show on a Saturday night, the Penthouse Club, and cross to the Trots.
I've heard about the Penthouse Club. Someone else has
Club.
been on this show to tell me about the Penthouse Club.
I love the Penthouse Club.
Might have been Sandy. Sandy might have come on and talked about the Penthouse Club.
If I could host the Penthouse Club this Saturday night, that'd be me. I'd be so happy. And you reckon I haven't tried to get it up over the years?
I bet you have. Well, if you can't, no one can.
No, well, live sports there now and different things. But, it was just sensational. So you're sitting in Broadie in front of a briquette fire, and Dad would go up the pub and he'd get a crunchy and would measure it out. And cut
crunchy.
It. You'd have a crunchy.
You have to split it.
I had to split the crunchy and a fruit and nut and a bottle of Tarax lemonade,
Tarax?
And Abigail would come on and, this was...
Right, Abigail was a hottie, was she?
Oh, it's off number 96.
Okay.
First full frontal in Australia. I didn't say that, I can tell you.
That would have got the Tarax going.
And it was unbelievable. And you go, wow. And then I remember off the TV, we bought the Renai the gas fire.
Oh, right.
And the Ream hot water system.
Yeah, we're still on Triple M now.
Mate, people talk about the Ream ad, install the Ream.
Yeah.
Now, I remember Ream hot water comes hot and strong. Keep your family clean with Ream. Hot water when you want it, hot water when you need it. Ream.
Right.
Talking about advertising in sport.
Right.
But, mate, we used to sit there and you'd come home from the footy. So I'd go to those games. Come home from the footy and you'd watch the news and then footy inquest would come on and then the big replay and then, you might flick it over to watch Adventure Island on Channel 2 with, with the banana splits, and then one banana, two banana, three banana, four.
Quality TV banana splits.
Flugel was my man. And then you had Adventure Island. Drongo.
That's before my time.
No, that was at half time of the banana splits.
Right.
So anyway, so then you'd be back for footy inquest, the big replay, and then on would come the Penthouse Club. But the moment that really resonates with me was there was a Friday night we'd watch the news and I'd worked out that whenever they put Collingwood's name first when they were given the tips, we invariably won. And my brother said, that means they're playing at home at Victoria Park.
Ah.
And I thought, Victoria Park, wow. And I said to Dad, I'd love to go. And he said, yeah. And then the next morning, on Saturday morning, we used to get up and go and do judo in the morning and come home. Mum would make the big fry up and we'd go and do something. And I said to Dad, because we generally would go to either Princess Park, Arden Street, Windy Hill or the MCG. And I said, it's at Victoria. He said, yeah, I know. And this was his moment I was probably about 6 or 7. So we get on the train, and in those days, Broadie was into the line. Everyone starts piling in, going to all the games, all the colours. And there was a kid sitting opposite me with the official Collingwood Cheer Squad badge on his stuff. Okay. I thought it was royalty. I thought, oh my God, look at that. He's official. Wow. So we turn up at Collingwood Station. I go, Dad, here we go. And he goes, no, there's one more. And I go, no, we're going to miss it. He's going to make it up. No one moves. So I sit there so until we get to the next station, I'm panicking. We've missed something. Yeah? And we pull up at Victoria Park Station. I go, oh my God, we've got our own station. So we get off and we walk over and the old footbridge. I'm only a little fella, so I'm just looking at the back of people's backsides and their belts and things, and Collingwood people everywhere. And as we go over the rise, I see for the first time the back of where the Sharon stand is now, but used to be the old stand in the social club, all black and white stripes, which is exactly what I wanted to do with my bedroom, right? Except Frank wouldn't let me.
Come on, Frank.
I mean, the bedroom was that small, we had to go outside to change our minds. But so we're sitting there, so we're coming over the top, and I'm like this, I've just eyes open. So we go in, and we're standing next to the police horse in the right forward pocket, row in. And the expanse of green grass and the smell, the horse, but the mud, and the people at the front said, come down here, young fella. And Dad said, yeah, go down. And Dad goes and gets some food and things. And for the other people, they give me a bit of cake. And I can't believe this. It's unbelievable. Anyway, out they come. So they run out onto the ground. And I think Tuddy let us out onto the ground this day. And then Peter McKenna walks up to the full forward and the crowd's going berserk. And I'm looking, I can see Peter McKenna. And it was just unbelievable. But walking across that bridge, still holding my dad's hand, I still can feel it, the big baseball mitt of a working man's hand, the calluses, and I felt so strong that I was with him. And then when we got him, when they ran onto the ground and when we kicked a couple of goals and we played Melbourne, beat them this day, the crowd roar was the first time that I was part of something that was bigger than us. So we kept to ourselves a bit as a family as well. But suddenly there was this big world, and Collingwood made me part of it. And I was a migrant kid. You'd be getting a fight because your dad had a Scottish accent, your mum had an Irish accent, and the people next door were Australian, and next to them were German, next to them were Polish, next to them were Czechoslovakian. It was any reason for a fight, you got one in Bridie. So suddenly there was this outside world. And I knew a bit about it through Celtic and Dad telling me about it and all that sort of stuff. But suddenly this was my piece of the world, and independent to Frank and independent to the family. And suddenly this was it. So for me, Collingwood gave me a real identity, a sense of what it was all about. Learned quickly that people didn't quite, maybe not everyone loved the Pies, which of course got my back up. Who would have thought? And maybe that influenced the way I was as president of Collingwood when the club was falling away, that I wanted to instill that pride for migrants and working class people and people who love the Pies. And so my decisions based on moving to the MCG and to what was then the Lexus Centre. And then I had in the back of my mind that I'd double back and get Victoria Park back once the council mucked it up, which actually happened. So we got a bit lucky on a few different things. But for me, it was all about making sure that the supporters went from the shit house to the penthouse, basically. And I said to them, I'll stand there the day that we open this up and you'll come in. And I remember it was about 40 degrees and the plastic was still on the seat of the new Ponsford stand, and people came in and hadn't gone anywhere other than Victoria Park, and they sat on it. It was all springy, and that's our social club there, and there's the toilets, and that's your seat forever. Oh wow, it was just such an amazing moment. And then we got back to Victoria Park, and I remember walking around the outside of it one day, and a couple of these people came out of the houses, and they said, "You're the last hope. We can never get them to do anything here." And the stands were all falling down, but also there was drugs, all sorts of things. It was a dangerous place. So we came up with the idea and got the money out of Canberra to pull down the stand and open it up. And now it's become a magical place. We built the old ticket stand again at the front. So the women's footy, grassroots football, the people of Collingwood can walk their dogs. Everyone was having a heart attack about the dogs. No, make it into a community centre. Then you had the elite sporting centre at what is now the AIA Centre, the old Lexus Centre, and then the best stadium in the world was the home of the Pies. Yeah. And that period of time, there was times where I thought, if I muck this up, I might be the last president of Collingwood here. And geez, you are just a television host at the moment, and you haven't been one of them for very long. So it was a big go.
We'll get to the presidency, but North Melbourne fans, Essendon fans, Carlton fans are going to be thinking, geez, I wish it was our song on the back of the donut wrapper at this point that you came across. Yeah.